Oh, what is up, gentlemen?
Yo, yo,
We have
I know
multiplied. We gave birth to this wild Fred.
We got slightly more British in here.
just a little bit.
Culture in here.
Thomas, I saw a meme today that was very insulting to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, My Chemical Romance posted it. And they were like, we totally understand why some of you are mad and concerned about the fact that we're glorifying sadness. And they were like, but don't worry, there are emo bands who have done much worse. Some of them glorify Ohio.
You know, I know how ridiculous Ohio can be because apparently it's supposed to be 79 in November.
Yeah, dude, it's supposed to be like 70-something degrees this week for us, too.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So that shit doesn't bother me no more. I know how ridiculous Ohio can be. I've lived here for fucking all my life, basically. So
77 on Sunday.
Dude, this is why I'm glad I live in, cold land.
Well, the cold can't even protect you from the world-ending asteroid that just got discovered, so beautiful.
True.
I'll be alright. It'll hit America. It'll miss me entirely.
I love how the news is just like, oh, by the way, they discovered a world-ending possible asteroid that was hidden by the gleam of the sun. And it's just like, up next, Kim Kardashian's new butt implant.
Well, if it takes out America and you'll get, vaporized, me and Nino can lead the podcast from here.
Well, see, as much as us Americans like to think we are the entire world, it's not true. So that would also include you guys.
Oh, we'll survive. We're like cockroaches.
What, white people?
Yeah. Just Europeans in general.
Just Europeans in general.
yeah.
Well, Nino, we know you. You're European.
Oh, just because you've left us like a year or so ago.
Do you feel abandoned? Does the rest of Europe feel abandoned now that
Don't
the
bring it
UK is out?
over between us.
No, really, we
Brexit,
relish,
Brexit, 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 Brexit.
we honestly really like not having as many British tourists every fucking where.
Oh,
Complete degenerates.
bro.
We do-
I know that we had Donald Trump in America, but how the fuck do y'all have a prime minister for like 2 weeks and then she's like, you know what?
Well, I think 'cause she
I'm
just
out.
bobbed it up and just went, fuck it, I'm out.
Maybe it's because she had like a little bit of honesty in her and she was like, oh, I can't tell people we're good. Man, this is fucked up.
Well,
You can't fix this.
That was the funny part about it. Was she was like fighting for her chance, like I am a fighter, not a quitter. And then like 2 weeks later, she's like, I'm leaving.
White flag.
Too much.
I love that. I am a fighter, not a quitter. You're also a fucking knob.
Yeah, this shit is over.
No bad.
I saw a meme of someone who took a picture of a cat next to 10 Downing Street and it just said the new Prime Minister.
Oh, wow. Even the cat quits. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yo, so WWE decided a few years back that they were going to have an annual show in Saudi Arabia. I've made a little bit of fun of it a few times on live streams and shit, but they call it the Crown Jewel. Well, since Iran has decided to say fuck you Saudi Arabia, that show that's supposed to happen in like 3 or 4 days is in limbo, where Logan Paul was supposed to wrestle Roman Reigns in the main
They
event.
disrespect the whole country.
Dude, what made them think that they were going to be able to hold annual events in Saudi Arabia and some shit just wasn't going to go down?
Oh yeah.
That's like sticking your hand in a rat trap over and over and over again and just being like, it hadn't got me yet. It won't happen.
That's what happened to Amos. Just kept sticking his hand in the gator's trap and just like snatched his arm right off.
They'll end up having a show in Saudi Arabia, and then half the wrestlers will end up getting kidnapped or killed.
And then disappeared or just leaving in a suitcase. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, how are you going to do that and think that that's a good idea? They literally, the first year, I wish I could pull up the video before the show started, right? They had like a video package filleting Saudi Arabia and being like, oh, women's rights have gotten so much better. We actually let them drive now. Like, no shit. Trying to make it
Actually let
seem,
them drive now.
yeah, like, I was like, when your country has got to fucking show off the fact that women are allowed to operate motor vehicles, it's like, come on, man. That's not progress.
I mean,
You know
to be
that joke
fair,
about the wrestlers getting kidnapped? That's actually true. You can just get kidnapped and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Yeah, it is true.
yeah.
That's why it's like, what the fuck are they doing?
they legit make you sign a waiver. Like, if I get kidnapped, it is not like the country I come from's fault. It's not the airline's fault. It's my fault.
Bro.
And you get stuck in jail for an indefinite amount of time, and like
If
the
you're lucky.
U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Congress comes, it's like, hey, you notice you have some prisoners here, and they're like, what prisoners?
Look.
We don't do that.
Unless you're
A gunshot.
unless you're like some ex special forces for something, or you're like Dennis Rodman, don't go to like the border of Pakistan. Don't go to North Korea. Don't go. Like, I saw some kind of shit. It was like locked up and abroad or something like that. And these people were like, yeah, we just wanted to backpack, the border of Pakistan to show people that, it's not really that bad and the people are good and blah, blah, blah. Oh, the people were fine. They went, damn, there were some fucking white dudes over there. We're not doing anything, but hey, ISIS, remember how you said to tell you if we saw any fucking foreigners out here? Look. And so they went and got them. Like, I mean, they got captured by ISIS and shit. And it's like, do you think that this shit is all just like, people just make this shit up when they're like, don't fucking go over here. Here's fine. Do not go over here. It's not all fucking butterflies and rainbows in these situations, man.
Well, apparently, according to Twitter, it is.
Well, according to Twitter, Twitter's about to be fucking wild until it's completely not.
Because Elon Musk just bought it a little while ago.
Always been just a shit show frontier.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, imagine this place was a shit show when you had all the fucking like super liberal people that would put you in timeout for nothing, and it was still a shit show. So when you take all of the fucking safeguards off of that, oh man.
It's gonna be the Wild West.
Yeah.
Well, all the worst people on Twitter came from Tumblr because they banned porn there.
Yeah.
That's basically how it worked out.
I heard that killed the platform, which says a lot for it. It's just like boob streamers when it's like, that's all you have to offer.
Yeah.
If without that your foundation crumbles, that tells you what you were. You were a hustler, and you just couldn't own it. So now you're dead.
I love the fact that you have to pay for the blue check mark now.
That's
about,
funny.
Is that true?
Celebrity tax, man.
Paying for it, otherwise you lose it.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yep.
Did you say it was like $20 a month or something for that?
It was originally going to be 20, and then they lowered it down because everyone kept moaning. And they're
Yeah.
still sticking with it.
I'm going to start a Twitter account called the Almighty Bunghole and get it check marked.
Are you threatening me?
Everyone make Twitter accounts and get them.
Yeah.
So with the worst Twitter accounts possible.
Dude.
Oh, dude, that was a pastime of me and a friend of mine, just making up the worst Twitter handles you can imagine. Moist vagina is still not taken, by the way. You can take that for free.
You fool! I have 70 alternate accounts. You will never know my main.
I feel like that would be more respected as a handle.
Honestly, yeah.
I'm kind of mad. Like, that makes me pseudo-feminist rage over here. What the fuck?
Better than just a spread.
I mean, hey, it's short and to the point.
So you guys know how I'm kind of like way behind on internet drama and just the things that have happened over the past 20 years on the internet. It's like I don't know about shit that I should definitely know about. Well, I just recently learned about Dark Side Phil and him wanking it on live stream on accident.
Oh, no. Oh, Dad.
Dude, I died. That shit had me rolling. That is so funny. You just see him in the corner of the thing just like...
So obvious, too. And, like, he doesn't clean himself up. He just goes straight
Straight into the stream, dude. Straight in the stream.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm live. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, he was like, I've been alive the whole time? Huh.
Also, hello, Del and Sarah in the chat.
Hey,
Yo.
yeah, there's a couple dudes like that. Like Wings of Redemption is another really funny one.
Oh, yeah, Wings of Redemption I found out about earlier. It was really funny.
Holy shit, Darkside Phil. Like, if you want to see someone be the absolute most incompetent fool with any video game ever, he is the most hilarious shit. He will just rage about anything.
That's
Basically, where Aaron Hansen got his inspiration from.
Yes, but slightly more
The mock him.
authentic.
Damn.
It's such a mess. I love it though.
I like that he didn't apologize. I like that he was like, oh, no, that shit was funny as hell.
Yeah, you just,
I mean, it was.
You know, lots of
funny,
people...
but just
Lots of people would have just been like, oh, you know, I should have known better. I was getting ready to stream. I'm sorry I had this. Or for anybody that was bothered by this, he was just like, it's funny. We all do this. It's all good. Who cares?
Yeah.
I think that is the best way to get out of situations. Yeah, we all do this kind of stuff.
Bro,
Fine.
that's literally all that Tucker Carlson does. That's the only way that that guy is still able to just like exist, is because he will say the most fucked up shit and be just the most divisive prick of all time. And then people will call him out on it and he'll be like,
We all do
it happens, you know.
It happens.
Yeah, I accidentally supported alt-right conspiracy theory. Bah. Who hasn't?
Alright.
I'm just like,
Sometimes he shouts
Jesus.
the
dude.
N-word 30 times in a row.
Yeah, for real.
I know, right?
What was, there was a New York, what do they call it? The Brooklyn something. It's an NBA team. They've got this incredibly talented basketball player named Kyrie Irving. And he just put out a tweet about how, like, black people need to support this movie that's like how Israelites have fucked over black people pretty much. And then everybody in the NBA was like, no. He didn't mean to say that, because he's like super talented at basketball, right? And here he comes out and puts out this fucking, anti-Semitic conspiracy movie on his
Well,
Twitter account with like millions and millions of followers. They ask him to apologize. He goes, I'm not apologizing for that.
So he basically pulled a Kanye.
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, Kanye's been putting out anti-Semitic shit lately. It's like,
Yes, dude,
yeah,
I had no idea that there was like this sect of the black community that's like totally anti-Semitic.
Oh yeah.
But then you see this guy, that Louis Farrakhan guy, talking about like Jews and this shit. I'm just like, dude, it's not just the white people. Every conspiracy theory, when you dig deep enough, at some point, they're like, the Jews. It's like, dude, you were just talking about dinosaurs. Or you were just talking about aliens. Like, why does it always, y'all just leave the Jews alone?
It just
Aliens,
can't
dude.
be a conspiracy theory without Jewish people.
It can't be a conspiracy theory without somehow becoming anti-Semitic. And I'm just like, dude, you were just talking about how birds weren't real. And now this?
Like this shit is just expected from Kanye. Like,
Look, Kanye West is crazy, y'all. All right? That's all this comes down to, is that Kanye West has fucking been lost his mind like 10 years ago. Okay? The guy's face is fucked up because he was in a horrific car crash where he should have died. All right? And people have been acting like Kanye West is the voice of reason. It's like, if you can make a good beat and still be fucking batshit to where, that's Kanye. So when he says something, maybe we should take it with a grain of salt at the most. Like, most.
Byron
like...
Howell. Sorry to cut you off, but Byron Howell in the chat says, as a black person, there's always been anti-Semitism in our community. Also, Kanye recently put a post supporting Kyrie and Stephen A. Smith.
Look, I don't just throw it. It's like every single conspiracy theory. It's not just ones held by the black community, white community, Germans, whatever. The anti-Semitism is every fucking where. Everywhere.
Fucking Dr. Dell says, to be fair, Jeff Goldblum was in Jurassic Park.
He was. He was.
No, I feel like to be on the level that Kanye is at, creatively and just like money-wise, business-wise, you have to be a little bit fucking insane.
Oh, for sure.
You have to be.
Probably be like a certain...
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to have the level of confidence that it takes to make certain moves, you really have to be delusional about yourself. You know,
Well,
which...
Not necessarily delusional, but just like something missing. Like that survival instinct's just yeah, no, fuck you.
Yeah, some kind of self-preservation type thing is definitely not there. You know, but at the same time, it worked for him to a certain degree. You know, he's massively successful and wealthy, but I don't know, man. I would hate to be that wild and have to be out here fucking with cameras all up in my grill and shit. Like,
Yeah.
Saying shit like, they'll never fire me.
yeah,
Well, his ass got fired.
I don't know, you don't
true.
Overrated.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you know that he goes through it in his own head all the time, though. That's the one thing that comes along with that kind of genius is, you know, you can't turn that off.
Oh, yeah.
So all this crazy shit he's saying, he really fucking believes it.
That is the weird thing. People are just like completely insane, but they sort of don't believe what they're saying. They're just saying weird stuff. But if they've got a certain level of conviction behind them, that makes them a bit more scary.
Yeah.
Because they genuinely believe these things that they're saying, that they're spouting.
Bro, the one that creeps me out the most is this motherfucker in North Korea. He's been doing way too much here recently.
Yeah, I heard that he's been doing missile tests, and some of them are landing a lot very close to South Korea.
And Japan. Why the fuck? We all know Japan has mechs that haven't been revealed yet. Why the fuck are you? And if it ain't even the military building them, it's the citizens. You know there's like an underground conglomerate of just crazy-ass Gundam fans down there in the sewers building a real one.
The weeaboo welders.
Yeah, the weeaboo welders down there.
Yeah, the Teenage Mutant Gundam Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's like, he's a, what is that, like Hikikomori or whatever? It's like,
Oh, Hikikomori.
yeah, they're like, oh, he's that. No, he's not. He's doing 9 to 5 building that fucking Gundam. Y'all don't even know.
He stays inside, but he has a 9 to 5 working on a goddamn mech.
For real.
Accountant by day, weaponist by night.
To be perfectly honest, we need to keep a better eye on like Japan. They're always up to something.
Well, I feel like they've been up to dominating in tech, building crazy good cars and all that shit for a long time. And it just says to me, if I were North Korea, who is successful at nothing, the last thing I would be doing is casting stones that way.
Yeah. If it ain't Jap, it's crap.
And they have been. They have been here recently doing some flexing, you could say.
Yeah. But I feel like they do that, like, at the very least every year, though. Like, at least once every year around the fall-ish. North Korea will usually, like, either make a threat that will turn the U.S. into a sea of ashes, or it will do, like, a bunch of missile tests, and they don't really amount to nothing. It's just them trying to show their big dick.
Bro, they're always mad at us for some reason. And it's like, do y'all realize we just helped South Korea? We just came in and, like, helped them out. Y'all are still supposed to be mad at them more than anybody. Hell, they've got museums about how bad they hate us and all this shit. You know how many museums we've got about North Korea? Like, probably none.
All right.
But white people are always evil. Just has solve.
I agree with that. 100% agree with that.
All right, Chad. How many museums have you got that are about hating England?
About hating England?
A few ones mentioning the War of Independence. Just
You mean the War of Revolution? Is that what y'all call it?
No, we just see it.
Yeah, the lucky escape.
Yeah, we call it the War of Fuck Taxes.
This is fuck tea.
No, there's actually a lot. When you get into like the Northeast, there's a lot of ships and there's a lot of fucking museums and a bunch of people in wigs being like, this period of time was so amazing. It's like, no, dude. I don't want to catch diarrhea and die.
Oh, yeah. Don't want to get no god of her for syphilis.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit about that time period that was totally whack. I don't know. Slavery. That one also. Like, yeah, but...
No one pays attention to it.
Dude, it's one of the most fucked up things about American culture is the mythology of America. American mythology is so fucking funny because it's like everywhere else, it's like Zeus, Odin, Otep, all these fucking crazy gods, and we're like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson.
Over there.
Dude, there's a lot of shit about Thomas Jefferson that people like don't really talk about. Namely, that he has so many kids with his slaves, or did back in the day. And there's like, for the longest time, all of these like black people in Northern Virginia run around with like red hair and like, stories that they were told throughout their lifetimes of how like Thomas Jefferson was related to them. And of course, the people who represented Thomas Jefferson were like, no, man, this is bullshit. They're just trying to throw dirt on his name.
Yeah.
Well, then,
this abacus, can't you tell us it's different?
Then DNA became a thing, and they're like, "Oh shit," because it was like way true, way true. They even found out like which slaves, like which ones, and like all that shit, and pinned it on him. And so they finally had to make a spot at his house in Monticello where they like talk about his mistress and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, you motherfuckers. You're telling me this guy would drink wine and write and read, fucking run 6 miles every day and then sleep for 3 hours and do it again, and he wasn't out here being a ham and wild? Of course he was. This guy was a fucking freak. And they're all that way. Like, they're all fucked up, and they keep, putting out all this shit in schools and stuff about how wonderful all these people were. Like Abraham Lincoln. They're like, oh, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Yeah, except for in the North.
They hunted all those vampires.
That's
what they're saying in the chat here.
Conveniently, they forget to leave out that information, don't they?
Yeah, they conveniently forget to leave out the information about like all kinds of shit that like Andrew Jackson is on the $20 bill and massacred thousands and thousands of Native Americans by making them walk sideways like the length of the country to the reservations from their homelands on foot. If you fall down, too bad. Like, what the fuck?
So wait, he made them crab walk?
No, it's called the Trail of Tears. Check it out.
But you said make them walk sideways, like
the country, the length of the country is what I said. Sideways, the length of the country.
Okay, well, yeah.
Let me see. And this guy's still to this day on the $20 bill. Let's see.
I'm going to say England's got some fucked up past, so I ain't going to pretend like we've got a good history.
It was the forced displacement of approximately 60,000 American Indians. That's a lot of fucking people to make walk.
I mean, to be fair, Fred, you guys have Queen Liz. She was based.
Yeah, but she's dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say have Queen Liz, rather had Queen Liz.
I got to
Well,
give
she's
props
dead.
for the Sex Pistols too. Always got to give props for the Sex Pistols.
Dude, if the Sex Pistols took out the Prime Minister role, they'd be like, "Bullocks!" That's all they would say.
No, they would be
That's
like,
right.
we don't know what to do, just like they did. If it wasn't screaming and yelling about shit, the Sex Pistols were useless.
Oh yeah.
All they were there for was to cause problems.
Mm.
We're here and we're mad.
I can't believe that they put them in fucking Texas on the Anarchy in the USA tour. They took those motherfuckers to Texas and they almost died.
Nice.
Yeah, because everyone's open carrying, so
Yeah, let's see. It was 1978. They took them through Texas. Why would you? Texas in the 70s was still fucking Texas, man.
it was like the crowd turns into a fucking firing squad if you say anything wrong.
Well, it was one of those venues where they had a like bird cage to make sure the beer bottles wouldn't hit them on stage.
Damn.
And it's like, do you think that they're not going to get fucked up when they get off of the fucking stage? Like, there's still going to be rednecks that want to kill them.
Just, play inside of a cage because the crowd is too angry.
Well, they got beat up and left on the railroad tracks. That was the really fucked up thing that happened.
I've got to make a note, like, don't go to America.
Well,
Just don't go anywhere. The whole world's fucked up. Just don't even bother.
dude, in the 70s, the last thing that you wanted to be was like an anti-American British band screaming about like anti-government shit in Texas. Because the country was a bit red at that point in time.
Sarah says, I always thought the Red Hot Chili Peppers were a major distraction for something. Not sure what.
I don't know.
It is a mystery.
I would think more like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and fucking Britney Spears and all those, Christina Aguilera. That was a big cover up for, you know,
The reptilioids.
decency. Goddamn decency.
You can't tell me Backstreet's Back doesn't slap. Backstreet's Back, alright.
Oh shit, it's already turned into a karaoke podcast.
Yeah, it does. It always devolves into this. You know that.
Every night.
You know what you're getting yourself into.
I feel like I've been kidnapped.
But
Hey,
Again?
you agreed to come onto this.
yeah, why did we were just talking about Saudi Arabia, so I mean,
He went past somebody in the first 5 minutes.
bro. Speaking of the Paul brothers, Jake Paul beat Anderson Silva in a boxing match, which I watched.
Oh.
And it was sad because it's like watching a man who has his arms tied behind his back trying to box. It's like, come on, bro. Like, Anderson Silva is known for kicking people in the head, and this is a boxing match.
Yeah.
If he had his legs, bro, this... When you can kick people so hard you break your own leg, like...
Oh yeah, that's that's
Dr.
when
Dell says, we lost the best queen Britain ever had years before Elizabeth. His name was Freddie Mercury.
It's true.
I can agree with that now.
Yeah.
You know, he made fun of the Sex Pistols. They were the Sex Pistols and Queen recorded their debut albums at the same time in the same studio.
That's right. Yeah.
And so Freddie Mercury would often go in there and just like give them nicknames and shit other than, you know, Sid Vicious. He'd call him Sid Furious or something like that. And like he'd walk in there and fuck with them. And it got to the point where like the Sex Pistols complained so that they had to switch all their schedules to make sure they weren't around each other. Because Freddie Mercury was like going in there picking on the Sex Pistols all the time.
Freddie Mercury was the sassiest bitch.
Was just like this like flamboyantly gay, like super skinny, buck-toothed guy going in there to the cool punk rockers and like picking on them is the funniest shit ever.
Well, who would be sassier, Freddie Mercury or Prince?
Oh, I don't know. Prince was a bit more quiet and reserved. Freddie Mercury would have been a lot louder and more in your face.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going Shorty just because.
A wild shorty has appeared.
Yeah. Shorty, say hi, buddy.
The dog formerly known as Shorty.
The pooch formerly known as Short Stuffington.
Hey, buddy, please don't clip the microphone.
Short Shortimus. Do you like to be on a podcast?
The fucking mic.
Oh. He's a good boy.
Shorty's like, stop talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. The land of my people.
On the podcast.
What if he was like a spy for Assad or something? He would have no information. This week, Chad once again pooped way too much. There's something going on here.
The slippery log escaped
2
again.
more hours in the toilet than usual.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
How did he fall asleep in there? I will investigate further.
Head first into the toilet.
Oh, man. Shorty, don't start crying. And he immediately does that when I tell him not to. Go on. Go.
Troll for the podcast.
More wrestling news. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's daughter finally debuted in WWE. And guess what her name is?
The little pebble.
The Little Pebble. Her name's like Ava Rain or something like that. Why the fuck would you not have the name something The Rock or Dwayne Johnson or something Johnson? Like, I would be... I know she probably wants to just do her own thing. It's like, that's not how generational wealth works.
Well, also a woman being named Johnson kind of raises a couple questions.
Does it when your dad's The Rock, though? You can't make fun of that guy. He just made
You know damn well what I mean by that.
He just made Black Adam look cool.
I haven't seen that movie, and I don't really plan to.
I mean, I don't either because it's a DC movie and they're all pretty much a wash for me forever. But if you can make that character interesting on the big screen, then kudos to you. Because I never fucking knew who Black Adam was and I never cared forever.
Yeah.
And I've noticed this. Have you guys noticed this trend over the past, since the MCU kicked off? If you ask somebody about a comic book character, especially one that's going to be in a movie soon or something like that, everybody knows all about them and have been a fan for their whole life. And it's like, y'all motherfuckers did not watch Ant-Man before this. Y'all motherfuckers did not care about Ant-Man before he was in the MCU. Stop acting like, oh, when I was 5, I read so many Ant-Man comics. No, you didn't. Marvel wasn't even pushing Ant-Man like that. There were no Ant-Man merchandise. There was no cartoon. There was no way for you to even give a shit about Ant-Man before he was in the MCU. So stop acting like, or it's the same with Black Adam. The Rock put out a post on social media and he was like, when I was a kid, I fell in love with Black Adam. It's like, no, you didn't, Dwayne. No, you didn't. You did not know who Black Adam was when you were a kid. Now, maybe through Kazam versus Superman or something that happened later on in your life because you investigated deep into this shit, you found out who he was. But don't act like little Dwayne Johnson at 6 years old had a Black Adam action figure. They didn't exist. They didn't exist.
We're playing Injustice 2.
Also, yes, Sarah, this is Fred here on the podcast here. They were asking the chat who the other guy was.
Look at that sexy Brit.
Flex Nation.
I don't know where he is on
Uh-oh.
the screen, but he's there for me.
I think it's underneath Chad.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am on the screen. Somewhere.
He's on screen. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
He's just the guy over there in the corner.
I'm just.
We're actually over here because I'm facing this way.
He's our emotional support Brit.
I don't emotionally support anyone. If anything, I just make fun of you guys.
Right.
I mean, what more do we need, really?
I keep you on track by making fun of you.
Exactly, right? You just keep us on the straight and narrow.
Well, somebody's got to keep us straight.
Lord knows I'm not going to do it.
This world is giving me the gay.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing those push-ups on stream. I kept you nice and fit on that stream. You almost died, actually.
You like to punish Chad on his streams. Like, you just give like 10 donations in like one stream of like 79 pence. Just like, do this, do this, do this.
Bro, that buttermilk was so gross.
79p. He says like any amount, any donation.
Yeah, because I don't want to be a shill. I don't want to be like $20 or what was it? Wings of Redemption's like $500. I'm not playing Call of Duty.
Yep.
I'm $500 only. And I'm like, what a fucking douche, man.
You even set it with the push-up stream. Like, you just went, this is enough. Like, it has to be like $5.
Yeah, but I at least wanted to, deliver before I started raising the price. I only did that because physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
I only did like 210 push-ups on that stream. And nearly died for like 3 days. I was like, fuck, I can't even zip up my fucking zipper.
Yeah, didn't we have to cancel a podcast because of that?
I don't know. There's plenty of reasons that the podcast has been canceled. Mostly just me waking up and being like, fuck.
It's just fuck.
Fuck.
That's all you could say.
Fair. Very fair.
Well, the Morbius movie they're talking about, Michael Morbius and that whole character could have been way good, and people were invested in that character because if the character appeared on the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s or Batman the animated series from the 90s, shit tons of people are going to know who they are because the viewership for those shows was astronomical in comparison to other Marvel shit. Like, you can't even think of maybe X-Men, another one, the X-Men animated series was fucking huge, but all the rest of them weren't as big of a deal. The Iron Man show wasn't that big of a deal. The Hulk show, none of that shit took off as much. Like, which is another thing with the MCU that pisses me off is how much they underplay Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man was Marvel for the longest time. Nobody gave a shit about anything but what was going on with Spider-Man and the X-Men. So it's like, fucking stop acting like Tony Stark and Captain America and the Hulk are these fucking huge characters that everybody loves and are the biggest deal.
Black Panther.
And Black Panther, dude, I remember seeing Black Panther and being like, honestly, this is kind of like a weaker version of what Black Panther's supposed to be. Like, they made Wakanda the size of a fucking like little tropical island or something. It's supposed to be this gigantic African empire.
They really did just make it a small little resort island.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you fucking doing? And then everybody's like, oh my God, representation. It's like, do you not realize that they just kind of fucked you guys over with representation? It should be way...
Yeah, this is the best that you want? This is what you want for representation?
Like, Black Panther's dad just dies because someone randomly planted a bomb and he had no knowledge of it. Like, the super tech Wakandans didn't have some sensors in place to protect their leader for one of his first times outside of the country. Like, I don't know, man.
Superpowers. He had them at that time. He was the Black Panther at that time. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a million loopholes where it like just makes Black Panther look shitty in that situation. I was just like, no, dude, no.
In that movie, they just give the flowers, those little flowers that give you Black Panther powers to everyone.
They did the same thing to Power Man. What did they call him in?
Was it?
What did they call him in the fucking TV shows and shit? Luke Cage. Was that him? He was supposed to be similar to the Hulk in power. Power Man and Luke Cage are supposed to be able to like have elevated strength that gets to the point of like almost matching the Hulk. And they totally nerfed that character. And I was like, whoa, nobody's mad about that?
I think they nerfed him because the people, the villains in the show were just people.
Yeah,
So
dude.
he's like, hook them.
He's supposed to be able to bitch smack people through several buildings. Like, he was such a badass.
Rolls up and he just obliterates him easily.
That's too much for the little babies.
Yes, I have seen the Hulk series from the 90s. And there was an Iron Man show. And there was not Captain America, Fantastic Four. There was a bunch of shows from that same group that made the Spider-Man the animated series was also working on a bunch of other shit. X-Men came before the Spider-Man the animated series, but those were the only two that anybody cared about. Those were the big ones. Those were the ones that became successful. Nobody gave a shit about Iron Man. Nobody cared about Hulk. They had their runs in the 80s in the comics and shit. But like during the 90s, it was Spider-Man and it was Batman. And those were the dominating factors. And Wolverine. If you want to get down to it, the only character that most people even gave a shit about in the animated series for the X-Men was Wolverine.
Yeah, true. They fucked up the Fantastic Four multiple times over.
Dude, they've tried so much with the Fantastic Four. I wish people would get it through their heads and understand that the Fantastic Four was a cheesy-ass fucking gimmick that worked in the 70s and 80s, and then after that, nobody fucking cared. Doctor Doom was cool. The bad guy was cool.
That's always cool, but like he's also kind of branched out from just being part of,
Yeah.
the Fantastic.
Yeah, he does a lot of other shit with other characters as well.
Yeah, and you know what they did to Johnny Storm in the new Fantastic Four movie? They made him black. No other reason, just to make him black. They didn't give him an interesting script to write off. They didn't give any of the characters an interesting script to write off of. They just made them all these fucking stereotypical characters. They didn't even have any fucking chemistry. They barely talked to each other. And yet, the making Johnny Storm black was a big thing that people were talking about. Like, nobody gives a fuck if you change a character's race. Just make them interesting and more like the character.
Yeah.
Like, we don't give a shit about anybody's race. Race is just a fucking skin color. Just make a good character, for fuck's sake.
The other thing I thought
That's all we're asking.
was the fact that the thing was just a pile of rocks.
Yeah.
Right.
That was it. It looked like he was made out of plasticine.
Yeah, you get anybody to do the thing. Like, doesn't matter if it's fucking black, white, Asian, or whatever. If it's a big guy, doesn't matter what race they are. They could be the thing.
Well, maybe.
Interchangeable.
John Boyega in Star Wars. What a tragedy. What a travesty. This man has the acting chops, had an interesting backstory. They set it up to be an awesome character for the new Star Wars movies, just to give him absolutely fucking nothing. When the Force Awakens came out, they acted like this guy was going to be a huge part of the franchise. His story was going to be epic. You know, he's this stormtrooper who's like, fuck, I don't want to be a part of this shit. No, he does nothing. He gets absolutely nothing.
That seems to be Hollywood's motive now. It's just like, just get the biggest named actors, have them do nothing, and just expect the actors to sell the movie. Like, that's not how it fucking works, man.
Well, they tried to do this whole, like, fucking... They did a big fucking moral superiority parade, being like, oh, look, new characters for Star Wars. One is a woman and one is a black man, and they're going to be the central characters of this fucking movie. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Turns out they got all the fanfare, and then they completely nerfed the black dude in the story. Gave him nothing, set him up, and then just trashed his character.
What's the point of adding representation if you're just going to fuck them over in the end product anyway?
Well, it's not representation. It's tokenization, and it's really racist as hell to be like, hey, look, we've got a black man, and then not do anything other than just be like, look, skin color, and then drop off the face of the earth. That's like using someone to the fullest, man. It would be like, what if I was just like, hey guys, Nate is my friend, and tagged like Renegade Media Group in all my videos and like made that the central marketing campaign just to be like, it's me.
Exactly.
I was on the. I'm on the videos occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly a spin-off.
Oh, look at me. I'm buddies with Chad. I'm important now. Ooh.
Yeah, right.
Fuck off.
So they just used, we hired a black man and then didn't do anything. Didn't give him an actual job. That's why, like, I've seen several interviews with him where he's just like, I would never do Star Wars again. I'm done with it. It was totally bullshit. They promised me all this shit and then fucking... It's like the poster in China. They made him really tiny on it. The one in America, he's like a central character that's shown really big on the poster. And then the ones for China, he's like in the background like this big.
Because Chinese hate black people.
Well, I don't know if that's entirely sure, but I do know that the government wasn't happy about how they were going to market it, so they made them change it.
The problem is everyone just bows to whatever China wants.
Yeah.
Because China has the most money, and if you want to sell big bang busters, then you're going to want to market to China.
As eventually China's just going to take over the world. Like, we don't get a choice at some point. They already pretty much own all of it.
Dude, this is so bad. I got to share my screen to you guys.
Sure.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You see right here is in America, and then right here is in China.
Yep.
Little guy.
Just like Elijah Wood.
So hammered.
I will say, Chad, I actually found your channel through the Renegade Media Group, so I can't really talk shit about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people have, but I've also had some people be like, hey, I found Renegade Media Group through your all's channel. And it's like, if I can give back to Nate, that's a wonderful thing. That makes me happy because he's done so much for me,
Yeah, I think I knew of Renegade Media Group for like a longer period, but I was only really active here.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, I was like, oh yeah, Renegade Media Group also exists.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
And just the volume of shit that they put out is incredible. Like, I don't know how Nate does it, but he grinds his ass off.
Well, I mean, Renegade Media Group was what turned me on to reaction channels to begin with. Because before I used to fucking hate them. Just like, I didn't really feel like they were necessary. But the way Nate did it with his fucking videos, this is like, all right, this shit's pretty interesting. And then I saw you and Nick in there. It's just like, I want to see more videos with these guys in there.
Yeah.
These guys have like such good chemistry with each other. It's just like, add a bunch more shit to the video than just like watching the fucking video and whatnot.
I would love to be able to do more shit with Nick involved, but like our time schedules are completely different. Like Nate and Nick will be filming videos at 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And I go over to Nate's house at like 3 or 4, So it's completely different times. And he's an editor too. So he's spending a lot of time doing that shit. I really wish he would live stream more because he live streams on the Renegade Media Group Discord all the time. All the time. But it's just like he's got a click, homies chilling and everything. Whereas live streaming to just an open audience is what it is, It's how I met a lot of you cool fuckers, though.
Yeah.
That's how I somehow bullied my way into this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, bullying him with kindness.
He had us at gunpoint. I will be recognized.
No, he had you at dollar bill point. It's like, take my fucking money.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
The pound for pound champion.
Yeah, take my money and do my bidding.
If you want to be one of the boys, if you want to come into this friend group, you just gotta bully your way in. That's the.
Yeah.
That's how James Corden did it. And look where he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a fucking dumpster fire.
The thing is, though, he's not good at bullying. You gotta be creative with that shit.
Yeah. First rule: don't fuck with Patrick Stewart.
Do
Oh,
not
yeah.
fuck with Patrick
Oh, that-
Stewart. That was a mess, wasn't it?
Patrick Stewart was a national treasure.
What was the national reaction to that over in England when that situation went down?
Well, a lot of people were kind of like 50-50 on it. Some people were like, well, Patrick Stewart wasn't exactly trying to get out of that situation. He was given as much as he was being taken. But then a lot of people were also just, fuck James Corden. Because
Yeah.
no one here.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, James Corden is a bit of a giant pussy.
He is.
And it's basically like whatever he gets involved in, like nobody ever sides with him. Nobody ever says he's in the right or something. It's just like they all just completely go against him. Even people who like him are just like, nah, it's not that.
Ricky Gervais had a great quote about him that went, "The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that."
That's funny.
How many people has Ricky Gervais roasted in his lifetime?
Oh, fucking hundreds. Everybody.
Just everybody he comes in contact with.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's
at that point,
basically an English hemorrhoid.
I mean, when you're on his level, you kind of gotta take shots at everyone.
To stay
He's basically
relevant.
like He's basically like a British Bill Burr.
Yeah, exactly. Prejudice, equality. Everybody gets shit.
Yeah, but Bill Burr is better at being Bill Burr than he is at being him.
Oh yeah, but comparing Ricky Gervais and Bill Burr is like comparing an elephant to a lion.
I would say Ricky Gervais is just more eloquent,
Yeah.
whereas, Bill Burr's pretty brash Boston guy.
Bill is like the alcoholic dad that goes on fits at like 4 p.m. Just like, turn it down.
Right. Whereas Ricky Gervais would be the concierge who just cuts you down and makes you feel bad.
That's basically Bill's fear, though, is like growing old, being in like a basement apartment. The other people are like, turn it down!
Screaming up at the younger couple.
Yeah.
That isn't music!
Got the fucking broom and...
Fucking...
Instead, fame has given him the ability to be the only guy shaking his fist outside of an airplane, like, get out of my way. Mad at the traffic in the sky while he's flying his little airplane.
Well, what was it, that one TikTok of the guy who's like driving on the road, the British guy who's driving, who's like, you don't want to come to London to live life in the fast lane? Go find it!
You don't fucking find it! Yeah.
Pretty much British traffic, though. That's the problem, is that everyone's just shouting at each other.
Yeah, fuck that.
You know what's worse than being stuck behind a learner driver? How about being stuck behind two of those selfish bricks?
It's like my dad does it. He's sat in the car with the windows shut, so no one can actually hear him. He's just shouting at the traffic. I
Dude,
don't stick my eardrums.
Nikki and I have started binge watching another shit reality TV series. It's called Breaking Amish. Have you guys ever heard of that shit?
Sounds like Breaking Bad, but Amish.
No, it's like these Amish people decide that they're, like, when they're teenagers, they're tired as fuck of living in the Amish communities.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
And so it's really funny because without the structure of that shit, they just devolve into being regular ass poor white people, just like white trash people.
Absolute degeneracy.
So to expand a bit on that, for everybody who doesn't know, like, the Amish basically have this ritual where, like, when one of them turns 18, they live like a year or something in, like, regular society, and then after that year passes, they have to decide whether they want to stay with the Amish community or keep living life in regular society.
Oh, you're talking about that Rumspringer shit?
I actually think that's very fair as a lifestyle goal. They give you an out if you want one.
Well, these people have just decided, not even during their little holiday, they just randomly decided they're done. So they're just leaving. And it's more Jerry Springer than I expected. it's very white trash roller coaster, and it's fucking hilarious. Because, like, the first thing that happens when this group of, like, a couple of chicks and a couple of dudes move out of the Amish community into, like, an apartment for a week for this, or a month for this show, it's like they all start banging immediately.
Yep.
And, like, yeah, I just, all that repression and all that, like, you gotta walk this fine line, turns people into absolute morons, man. It's like they can't control themselves to do anything. Without the rules set up, their ability to fucking make good decisions for themselves goes out the fucking window. Because they've never had to do that without the fear of Jebediah beating them over the head with a stick or something, you know?
As I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain,
I take a look at my wife and realize she's very plain.
But that's just perfect
Yeah.
for an Amish like me. You know I shouldn't fancy things like electricity.
Yeah. I love Weird Al. R.I.P. Coolio.
Oh, dude. All right.
I've heard Coolio's actually opened up to that song now, like Amish Paradise. Like, he admitted that he was just, like, not cool about it before.
At first, he was mad as hell.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he wasn't even the original guy who came up with most of that shit. It was a sample anyway.
Yeah, from Stevie Wonder's Pastime Paradise, right?
Yeah.
And
But
Eminem was pissed of his cover Couch Potato. There was a clip of it on the Weird Al show where Weird Al was just like passive aggressively going like, well, now I have no music video for this song now, so thanks for that.
yeah. That's funny as hell. But we are coming down to the hour mark on the podcast. So, as we do, any final parting words, gentlemen? Anybody?
Well, first of all, thanks, Fred, for joining up on this little podcast.
Yeah.
And now we actually do have community posts because everybody's been getting that now. So we'll be able to post when we go live on the YouTube channel now instead of just relying solely on the Discord. But if any of you are new subscribers here, be sure to share with anybody you know and follow our other channels on here that are listed on the channel page, on the main channel page and whatnot. And just have fun with this shit. Just time in whenever you want to in the chat. We'll be sure to get your messages as soon as possible. Yeah, all sorts of cool shit like that. That's all I got there.
Well, Thomas said, join the channel or die.
Join the channel.
Why didn't say that part?
Have fun.
I will fight. Don't join the channel.
It's a Plankton quote. Don't worry.
Have fun.
Join the
Get your-
channel or die, crabs.
Get your wiener out, except when you're not over 18. And buy Bayonetta 3. It's a very good video game. Fuck the original voice actor. She lied.
She lied. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the support and all the chat that's going on. And we will see you next week, homies. Bye.